What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to another video. It's been a little while. In a desperate bid to get some more content out, I was going through Tier Maker this morning and I found this 90s metal bands tier list. So I'm going to go through these, rank them for what I think they are. Now this isn't just going to be about their relevance to the 90s, it's also going to be about how, I guess, their longevity as well. I guess that's going to come into it. So anyway, we'll work it out as we go through it. First band up, we've got Crowbar. Crowbar, of course, led by the mighty Kirk Windstein, the sludge kings of the South. This is a band that I absolutely adore. They're so emotional, so much of the music's, the riffs are just amazing. The lyrics are so heartfelt from Kirk Windstein. The vocals, I think, are very underrated. I feel something when I listen to Crowbar. I'm going to put Crowbar in A. I could possibly put them in S, but I'm going to put them in A for now. I think that's a good place for them. Primus. I enjoy Primus, but they have a place for me. They're not a band that I necessarily go out of my way to listen to a huge amount, but I do kind of enjoy them at the same time. I'm going to put them in B tier. A great band, phenomenal musicians. Phenomenal musicians. But yeah, there's a time and a place for them, for me, I think. Ministry. This is another interesting one, because when Ministry are on form, they're fucking amazing. There's so many good albums that they did, and especially the stuff in the 90s. But we're basing this also on kind of, you know, the longevity of the band. And for that, I will also put them in B, behind Primus. Not been so impressed with the later output, if I'm quite honest with you. Pantera. Now, let's be honest, they have to go in S. Hugely important band, not just for me in the 90s, but for metal in general in the 90s. This band flew the flag for metal, and I just love them. I kind of appreciate Pantera more as I get older, if anything. I was listening to some of them again the other day, and just some of Dimebag's solos, especially on the Cowboys from Hell album, it's just, oh my god, so damn good. Of course, we all know the tragic events of what happened with Dime, and we later lost Vinny, so the band is not... It's not Pantera anymore. I've got my issues with the reformation in some ways. I mean, I'm sure it'd be a good show. I'm sure if I was there, I'd really enjoy it. But I've got to admit, I've seen some of the footage of Zach playing, and it kind of bugs me a little. I understand that he's paying tribute, but I think he should be a little less him, if that makes any sense. Maybe I'm being out of order there, but anyway, going off on a tangent. Biohazard up next. I fucking love Biohazard. I saw them a couple of days ago in Bristol with another band that we're going to get to in a moment. I absolutely adore Biohazard. The first 4 albums are absolute bangers, and I do enjoy a lot of the other stuff they've done as well. I'm putting Biohazard in S tier. I don't give a toot. The gig was so damn good because they were one of those bands where I know every single word. You know what I mean? You know what it's like when you're at a gig, maybe there's a song that you're not so familiar or whatever, and you just kind of through it. I knew every single goddamn word of Biohazard, and it was amazing. I fucking love them. Next up, we've got Helmet. I'm going to be honest with you. I never really got into Helmet. I recognise their brilliance. I recognise their influence. Is it Page Hamilton? Was that the guy's name? I think it's kind of more of a vocal thing for me. I don't feel the vocals. I don't really feel what he's singing. I love the riffs, and there is a lot of it that I don't know. I'm going to be brutally honest. I'm going to put them in C. I know a lot of people. I have no doubt a lot of you are going to be annoyed with that one, but it's how they're one of those bands that I've tried a number of times, and it just never really works for me. Typo Negative, you all know for me, this is going atop of S tier. One of my favourite bands of all fucking time. Not one bad album. I would have loved to have known what fun Pete would have had in today's climate, because the guy was certainly... You couldn't call him politically correct, that's for damn sure. He made no bones about that. it'd be interesting to hear what he'd be coming out with today, one way or the other. But yeah, I miss Type O Negative. I love this band. Saw them live many times. And I, much like Pantera, I kind of appreciate them more now than I did. I love Type O Negative, top of S tier for me. Sepultura, now this is an interesting one. I am one of those people who I adore the Max era. So if we're talking about, you know, the 90s output, I mean, was it 96, 97 that he left the band? I mean, those albums with Max on are absolutely undeniable. They're so damn good. I do like a lot of the Derek Green stuff. They have to be on S tier, really, don't they? You know what I mean? They're just so damn good. I fucking love Sepultura. Never got to see them live with Max. I was always disappointed with that. I'm actually going to be doing something on that soon. One of my subscribers actually made a suggestion that I do a top 10 gigs that I've been to in my life. So yeah, I'll talk about that more now. I think that'll be a fun one. Danzig. Danzig's quite an interesting one because I really couldn't stand Danzig until a couple of years back. I was always aware of him. How can you not be? In fact, Glenn's influence in the underground scenes, in metal, in hardcore, in punk, is pretty phenomenal, really. You know what I mean? Not just with him, with the Misfits, of course. But I always kind of found him quite laughable, and I didn't really bother with him at all. However, I have been listening to him a lot over the last couple of years, and I've really, really started to understand it now, and I really get it. I'm not going to put him in S tier, but I will put him in A tier. I think he deserves to be there. I'm sure a lot of people would probably put him higher. But yeah, I'm really starting to appreciate him. Fear Factory. I fucking love Fear Factory. You can tell that I was really getting into metal during the 90s. This was my era. I'm sure it was for a lot of you. I know a lot of you guys are same age as me. Fear Factory, they've kind of, those first three albums were absolutely essential listening. I think Soul of a New Machine is an amazing album. I know a lot of people put it a bit lower on their list, but I love that album. And they've done some great stuff in between as well. Mechanized was great. The latest Aggression Continuum was a great album as well. They don't really have a bad album necessarily. Even Transgression has its moments on it, but they're definitely not as powerful as they were. So I'm going to put them at the back of A purely because the albums that I do love are absolutely essential listening for me. Fear Factory are great. White Zombie. I love White Zombie. I'm going to put them at the back of S tier straight away. I even love the earlier stuff, you know, the kind of noise rock, more punk underground sort of vibes that they were doing, very lo-fi. Really enjoy those albums a lot, though. I think there's actually really great stuff on there if you actually take the time to listen to it. And Les Exorcisto is an amazing album. It's a perfect album for me. And Astro Creep 2000 is very close behind it as well. I'm not quite as big a fan of that one. Les Exorcisto is still definitely my favourite, but yeah, we're gonna go with that. GWAR up next. I enjoy GWAR. I can't put them in essential by any means, but you know what? I'm actually going to put them at the top of B because I do enjoy GWAR. If it will let me. Why is it not letting me do that? There we go. I'm going to put them at top of B. I probably would prefer listening to GWAR to Primus, if I'm quite honest with you. I think Primus are great, but GWAR, they're just so fun, man. I miss Dave Brocky. What a fucking cool dude. And their DIY work ethic is just, great. How can you not like GWAR? Clutch up next. I mean, one of the most consistent bands out there, another band that arguably do not have a bad album. I'll put them at the back of A tier, I think. Maybe above Fear Factory? No. For me, Fear Factory is the better band. Clutch are just such a dependable band, you know what I mean? You know what you're getting, and it's always a good time, and they've done so many damn good albums, so many damn good songs. Korn, that's an interesting one. Unlike Fear Factory, Korn have done some albums that I'm genuinely not fussed about. You know what I mean? It's like I really dug the first 4 albums. Was it Untouchables? Yeah, Untouchables was the 5th album, right? That kind of saw me segueing off. And if I'm quite honest, I've never really got fully back on board with them. I do enjoy some of their later stuff. I think Jonathan Davis is a phenomenal frontman. I think he genuinely is a great frontman. But part of me wants to put them in B, but purely because as far as 90s bands go, I mean, there aren't many other bands that were as influential as Korn. I mean, they created a whole new scene. And I actually like a lot of nu metal as well. I'm not one of those purists who dislikes that sort of stuff. I'm going to put them at the back of A tier. Yeah. That's where they're going for me. Life of Agony, the second band that I saw. They were supporting Biohazard a couple of days ago. In fact, they're on tour with each other still now, but they were incredible. My God. Keith Caputo was such a phenomenal frontman. Joey Z was getting so much. The crowd loved Joey more than anyone. As soon as he was on stage tuning up, the crowd was just shouting for Joey. It was really great. They're such a damn good band. River Runs Red is an incredible album. And there's such an emotional weight to what they do. I don't like them as much as Biohazard, but I'm going to put them ahead of Clutch. I mean, come on, all these are good bands. You know, none of these are in bad places. Faith No More, okay, they're going an S tier. I would put Faith No More. I'd put Faith No More there. Yeah, that sounds good to me. I might even put. I'm putting Faith No More ahead of Pantera. I love Pantera, but Faith No More, there was just something so damn special about them. You know what I mean? Patton's a fucking genius. They all kind of are, really, in many ways. Faith No More, love that band. Absolutely adore them. Next up, we have Prong. And this is an interesting band because this is one of those bands that is very influential. Certainly, you hear a lot of bands talking about Prong, but they never quite reached the heights of a lot of their peers. Part of me can kind of see why. When they're great, they're great. They've also released some stuff that I wasn't so bothered about. They're still going now. Their last album was pretty decent. I'm going to put them at the top of B tier. Great band. Tommy Victor is a riff lord, but at the same time, I can kind of understand why they didn't get bigger than they did. Does that make any sense? Next up, we have Rage Against the Machine. I do enjoy Rage Against the Machine, but I don't really go out of my way to listen to them that much. They were one of those ones that were hugely important to me at the time. I'm sure a lot of you who are my age will remember that self-titled debut that came out when I was in sixth form, and everyone was talking about it. It seemed to be like one of the heavier bands that was acceptable for normies to like. Of course, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me and all that. But there's no denying that's an absolute banger. Evil Empire was a great album. They've done some real bangers, but they're not quite as the top of things for me. I'm going to put them. I'll put them ahead of Korn, behind Clutch. Great band. I recognise they're great songs, but I just don't find myself listening to them that much anymore. So, Meshuggah. I think Meshuggah have to go in S tier. Where would I put Meshuggah? I think Meshuggah need to go around about there. Just sheerly in terms of influence, if nothing else. I mean, I love Meshuggah. They've been a grossly consistent band right from the very off. They've written some absolute bangers and incredibly influential band. Gent, of course, is pretty much, down to the likes of Meshuggah, although Fear Factory did have their hand in that as well. Yeah, I think that looks good for me. And lastly, we have Tool. And I think Tool, quite rightly, have to go in S tier as well. And I might actually just put them above Meshuggah. Again, I know there are a lot of you watching this channel who do not like Tool. I do like Tool. I think they're an incredible band. The musicianship is just god tier. You know, Danny Carey is just ridiculously good, and their ability to conjure up emotion and, you know, they're bloody good, aren't they? No, seriously, they've done so many good albums. I thought Fear Inoculum was a really great album as well, to be honest. I think it's very underrated. I understand that, was it 13 years between that and the previous album? So I understand that what people were expecting and what they got was not quite up to snuff. But it's still a great album. There's some really great songs on that album. I think, yeah, that sits well for me. Type O Negative for me they're one of my all-time favourites, so that's why they're at the top. I know a lot of you will disagree with that, but I'm sticking with that. That's where I'm going. So anyway, that was just a quick fun video that I wanted to put together because I haven't done anything in a little while. I'm gonna have quite a fun one, I think, for Saturday, and I've got a lot coming up. So we got some videos on the pipeline again, so there we go. This is that awkward bit where I don't know how to finish. Boom.